Pinkston, welcome to Sasquatch Backpacking. Looks like Rooster might be having some sort of technical difficulties there already.
What?
That would be, excuse me, that would be normal for the show at this point.
That's me turning that off, by the way.
Yeah,
We're starting it right. Ixnay on the alarm A's.
Welcome to another live edition of Sasquatch Backpacking. Like I said, I'm your host, Chad Pinkston, and as always, we've got Alan the Rooster with us.
Hey, everybody.
We're going to do something a little different tonight. We're actually going to flip the table, the scripts, whatever you want to call it, and Alan's going to interview me based off of my recent shot at thru-hiking the Foothills Trail here in South Carolina and a little bit of North Carolina. So we're going to talk about that briefly. But one thing I wanted to do is sort of give you an idea of what this was like for me. And if you don't follow me on YouTube, or if you do follow me on YouTube, you're going to see a video that I posted a couple of days ago. It's just a 3-minute slideshow video that my phone actually put together for me. All I had to do was pick which song I wanted. And it actually turned out pretty well. And, you know, several people have watched it, but I kind of thought it would set the tone for this. So we're going to try this out here on StreamYard and just see how it works. So here goes nothing.
And I have a chance there if I need to bail. So weather's not bad, a little chilly. And we will see you later. Got a nice section downhill for a little while. What? So check this out. Good evening, everybody. So I just wanted to show you what our campsite for our first night. I wanted to 14.5 miles, so longest day ever. So anyway, check back with you tomorrow. But anyway, beautiful Easter morning, everybody. We've come across Kings Falls, and I wanted to share that with you. It's pretty cool to see on Easter morning. Catch you later. What's the actual campsite's name? East Rock? East Rock. Plenty of room. Trees that were perfectly spaced for his hammock. So anyway, we've eaten dinner. We woke up early, headed up to there's a little shelter area. Sanitizer is a must. So anyway, time to have Pop-Tart. See you later.
Pretty cool, man. I get caught up every time I watch that. It turned out well, and quite honestly, I had to do very little work other than select the song and hit post.
That makes it even better, right? Like they talk about how much struggling and striving for something feels good when you finish it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes just having it handed to you is kind of nice too.
kind of nice in this situation. I gotta be honest. So anyway, yeah. So man, this ought to be interesting because other than us having organic conversations, I don't know if anybody's ever really said, I'm going to interview him or I'm going to ask him some questions. So the script is definitely flipped here. And I know Alan and I can always have a good organic conversation that should last 10 minutes and ends up lasting 30. And probably will happen similar in this situation as well. I did notice as the video was playing, the number of people watching went down, so it may not be near as cool.
It went up, it went down. It's like a little bit of a roller coaster unto itself, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, Chad, I guess the first question I have to ask is, what is the Foothills Trails?
Yeah. So the Foothills Trail,
I never heard of it when you started talking about it.
Yeah, so it's a trail that runs from Oconee State Park in the upstate. They refer to the northern part of South Carolina as the upstate. So up in the Greenville area, there's a state park called Oconee, and there's a trail that runs from there 76.2 miles over to Table Rock State Park, which is also in the upstate of South Carolina. It briefly crosses through the Nantahala National Forest for just, I think, a handful of miles, maybe 10 total. So it is up in North Carolina for just a bit. And it's just to give you an idea, you can tell from some of the pictures there, it's a well-maintained trail. The campsites are gorgeous. They're in a lot of great spaces, at least the part that I was on. I can't talk about the second half or a little bit more. Let's just call it the next 2/3 of the trail, just because I wasn't there. But I've seen enough pictures to know that whole trail is well-maintained. People will refer to it as the mini AT. It has a couple, at least I believe 3,000-foot climbs day after day after day. There's a section in there with 400 plus steps, the Butt Buster or something like that it's called, where there's actually a bench, I think halfway up the steps for you to hang out and take a break. I got off before that. That may have been part of the reason why I got off. I don't really know. Yeah, and this is a great, if you go and you look on YouTube, there's a lot of guys that hike this to get ready to go through hike the AT. Through hiking the AT isn't for me. It's not in my goals. It's not something I want to do. If 20 years from now I'm still hiking and I've collected enough pieces that I can almost finish it, maybe then I will. But through hiking the AT is not for me. But anyway.
So yeah, and that kind of, we were talking a little bit earlier today, and one of the things I told you I was going to ask is, like, in the past, we don't refer to ourselves as through hikers, right? We're more weekend warriors and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, are you?
Oh, Rooster's gone. He's gone, folks. I don't know what happened to him. Oh, he's coming back. Here he is.
Here I am. Magic buttons, man. Magic buttons. It's no fun if you're not making a mistake here and there. I apologize. I hit the wrong button on the keyboard.
I would like to point out that when you left, we went down a number. And then, so we had gone up to 4, you bailed and went down to 3, you're back again.
Yeah, well, they're up to the same old shenanigans.
Yeah.
But so, we've always referred to ourselves more weekend warriors and everything. And this was, granted, it's not months and months and months, but it's considered a through hike, right? So are you starting to think like through hiker, or is this what? Tell me about the through hiker mentality of trying to do this. What did you say, about 100 and change?
It's 72.6.
That's a long way.
No, 76.2. I said that backwards. So, I've talked about it before, the Old Man Hiking Club, these guys I hike with, these guys that mentor me a lot when I'm trying to get through decisions in hiking or what to do next or wherever to go next. I think it's every other year, maybe it's every 3 years, I don't know, they'll go out and bite off something big. Hey, let's go out west and hike for a week. Let's do the Foothills Trail, stuff like that. And so 2 of them, Joel, my buddy Joel, who's with them, came out and said, hey, we're going to go do this. And at first I told Joel, I said, I'm not interested. But I would like to be like your support guy. Tell me if you need a ride to the trail. Tell me when you're coming off the trail. Tell me if I can meet you halfway with food. Call me if you need me to get you off the trail. Anything like that.
Right.
And in retrospect, that's probably what I should have stayed doing. Ultimately, I ended up going out there with them, and it was a great time. But I should have I should have let them have their dream and then me dream something else for myself, if that makes sense.
Well, it does, but I think you and I mean, for coming from a guy who hasn't tried to make something this big, you and I kind of talked when you got back off. I mean, talk to me a little bit about, for me, I think you won even coming off the trail because you did something and you took that chance and you recognized, rather than put yourself in a situation where you might be injured or something like that, you came off. And to me, that's a win. Like, and that's something that we talk a little bit about the mental aspect of hiking, right? And you want to talk about like that decision to like, you know what, maybe it's better if I don't, or were you like trying to psych yourself up to get like do it, or like what were you going through?
So at first I was gun ho about it. I was like, this is easy peasy. I've been out enough now. This shouldn't be a problem. Joel and Al started putting together the All Trails maps, which we like to use, and it was starting to look like it was really going to be 13 miles a day. As Alan can attest, not something that we generally do. We don't like to do that anymore, and we have to. Yeah, after 10 miles, it's noticeable that you've been out walking with a backpack on, and it starts to wear on you. And I got sucked into this idea of knocking this thing off. There's a thing called the Paraquin. I think I'm saying that right. Falcon Award. And once you thru hike this thing, you write to the agency that overlooks the trail, the conservancy or whatever it is, and they send you a patch and a letter and all this stuff. In fact, you have to write a 300-word essay in order to get it after you thru hike the thing. And I think I got caught up in all of that. And I think I mentioned to you and to Trip maybe a week before that, like the food logistics alone for packing for that much time was starting to become an ordeal. We parked my car 30 miles into the trail, so we had 2.5 days worth of food. Then we were going to pick up the rest and finish the trail. And it just that whole transfer, even though I had done it before with water and other things with you guys when we were up on the AT in Maryland, it started to become something where I was like, man, this isn't all that fun. How does somebody sit down and do this for all 2,200 miles of the AT? Right. This is making my trip start to seem more like work. And at times it felt like work before I ever even got out of the shuttle. Like I didn't, was I doing the right thing? Was I going to get in the way of these other guys? Did I need to bail? These were all things that weighed on me heavily before I left. In fact, if you look on the wall over here, they're still up there. The 6 days, and they're still up there because at some point I'm going to finish this thing. I think you and I talked about I need to do it sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it'll become harder and harder to do it. And there's still 46.2 miles left of very rugged country with one road. I think the trail crosses one other major road inside of there where somebody can come get you or drop food off.
Yeah. So, one of the things, like when we're talking about hiking long distance like that, you talked about the food being the big thing. Now, I know you had talked about possibly you had new gear and all this other kind of stuff. Did you take anything new, anything that worked out great, anything that you learned from? Is that a better way of saying didn't work out so great?
Yeah. So there were some things I took that outperformed themselves. The first thing that the biggest letdown for me as far as gear was concerned was I did not get to take the hammock. I wanted to take the hammock. We're about to go again at the end of the week on the AT. I want to take the hammock again.
You should bring it.
The weather has gotten it. I got on shorts and flip flops and a short sleeve shirt. And in Virginia, this at the end of the week is supposed to be in the 30s and 40s again. So down here in South Carolina, we have given up on cold weather. It is time for it to be warm. I'm ready for flip flops every day. I'm ready to sweat when I just walk to the mailbox. I'm ready for that. But unfortunately, the hammock didn't get to go. Why do I keep getting that wrong? The hammock didn't get to go, so it's still hanging there.
It's hard on a camera, man. It's everything backwards. Yeah.
And but the Catadon, correct me if I'm not saying this correctly, Alan, the Catadon Be Free.
You got it.
Shined like a superstar. This is I wish it was out, but it's packed now because I'm, like I said, I'm getting ready for another trip. But it's a water filter that you remove, just a scoopable bag, way easier than anything Sawyer's got. Don't come at me with that knock bag, because yes, it's nice, but even the Be Free scoop, screw on the filter and you're drinking at a nice high rate, or you're filling a bottle up. I do wish the bag was 1.5 liters rather than a liter, because there's a little bit of extra in there you can never get out when you're squeezing it, but you can drink straight from it. To clean it, you just shake the bag and it cleans that filter out. And I have seen no slowing down in the filter rate since I took it back to Uwari. If you guys remember us talking about that back in March. And so that outperformed any expectation. And I got that from you. You had it.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, it's one of those things where I was hesitant at first to use it, and then I used it, and now I've had it about a year, and I've still got the same one. I've been really careful not to let it freeze or anything else like that, and I can't say enough about the thing. I love it. It's fast, it's easy, and as long as your bag's doing okay. We've had differing experiences with the bag that comes with it. But I've replaced the bag that came with it with a couple of other bags. And the thing is, the replacement is $25. So it's not any more expensive at that point. It's more expensive at first than buying like the Sawyer Mini or whatever. But replacement to replacement is $25. It's pretty close to what the Mini is, and definitely cheaper than the Squeeze. So I love it.
Yeah, Tent did a great job. I thought it was a 20, but when I looked today, it's actually a 15. So I took the 15-degree bag. I'll be using that again. I took the thicker sleeping pad, which takes up almost the entire inside of that tent. I was happy with all of that. All that gear performed well. My new Ultra Olympus, which I had some concern about, those are my shoes.
They tore you up on one of your prep trails, right?
They did, yeah. Uwari, they tore me up because I don't think I had pulled them tight enough across the toe box. So when I get my liners and my socks on well, and I really tie that sucker on like it's supposed to, I think those shoes perform well for me. I still like the Long Peaks; they're always an option. But when you're doing long days, the Olympus is nice. We did the longest day I've ever done, I think, unless the last day of Maryland was longer. I did one day that was 14.5 miles. My longest hiking day ever. Yeah. And Joel told me, he said, man, when I saw you, because we made a little navigational error. We walked through a campsite that we should have stopped at, but we kept going. And Joel said when he saw me, he thought I was just going to be completely whooped puppy. But man, I was dancing and whistling down the trail.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a second wind I hadn't found yet, because once I pass 10 miles, man, it gets slow quick.
So one thing you don't know about in the video, and I think we talked about it, Alan. I did most of this 30 miles by myself, except for a few at the beginning, and a few road crossings where they just waited for me to catch up. I was by myself for almost all of it, by myself, moving at my own pace, eating when I want to eat, stopping whenever I want to stop. And if I want to stop 10 times climbing a hill, there's nobody there telling me quit stopping. Like I'm at my pace, and each day I would just walk up, and Joel or Carl or Al would leave something out by the trail. They'd take their puffy and, jam their trekking pole on the ground and then leave their puffy on it, something that would get my attention so that I wouldn't walk by them. Most of the campsites on that trail are very well marked. But there are a few when it's down beside the Chattooga River that aren't marked at all. And we walked right through one called Sims Field. We should have stopped. And I think that cost us an extra 2.5, maybe 3 more miles at the most before we finally did stop. And had a beautiful spot right by the river on East, like the night before Easter. I'm 4 feet from a 4-foot drop off into the Chattooga River. You hear it all night. That was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were out, what was it, 2.5 days? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was 2.5 days.
Okay. And you said about 2/3 of the way, right? So potentially, like you said, there's a road crossing, couple weekends, and you could get this thing done going our style, right?
Yeah. Doing a couple of 10-mile days, a little extra just to catch that extra 6.2 out of there. I think I could knock it off again. The problem here, like I mentioned, waiting for the flip flops and sweating on the way to the mailbox, is the fact that some of that, and you can see it in my video, is a burnout.
Mhm.
And what I found was I didn't want to be there. Like, no shade, zero shade from the burnout. I think it was a controlled burn. It looks like it was. The sun's blaring down on you. It's warming up quickly. And so, I need to talk to those guys that did finish it and find out if, what the second half of that trail looked like, as far as that was concerned.
Cool. So, like, is there like, there was something that happened to you on the last day that kind of was an attitude adjustment for you, a little surprise about running into somebody. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you follow me on the Book of Faces, you will have seen this post for sure. But Alan has hiked with me enough to know that on the last day, I get tired, I get grumpy. It doesn't matter how many Pop-Tarts you shove in me. I want my Wi-Fi, my cell signal, and a hot shower. And
you
ultimately,
get fast too.
Say what?
You might be tired, but I'm usually looking at the tail end of Chad on the last day. It don't matter what the other days look like. On the last day, all I see is Chad up there. He ready to go.
Well, Sunday, we call it a Sunday pace. And sometimes you get it on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Saturday. There's an upcoming Saturday where you might see it. Anyway, pretty steep day. I'm climbing pretty quickly. Not quickly, but it's steep. Anyway, if you've heard me talk about the roller coaster, Trip and I met a guy named, I think his name was Kevin, and his trail name is K-Dog. I don't know how he got his trail name. And he's an older guy. He's probably in his late 60s, maybe he's got a little age on him. And he's an older fella, and we met him on the roller coaster Trip and I did at a hostel, and he had fallen, or the guy that was with him had fallen, I think is what had happened. And he had busted up his eye, and it was all swelled up and bruised. And it just stuck out in my mind. These guys told me they were from South Carolina. And there happened to be a young lady at the hostel that was a nurse, and she was helping him with his face and all that stuff. And I never saw him again. Like, we never saw them. Trip and I don't remember bumping into them again. We know they do really long days. They might do a 12-mile day, and it takes them all day, which I don't blame them. I completely understand that now. And so I'm coming down a switchback through that burned out section. And I hear a guy just say, "Don't mind me, I'm cameling up." And if you don't know what that means, he's just at a spring drinking as much as he can before he fills his water bottles back up again, because you don't know how far away the water is. So you want to make sure you're well hydrated. And it was one of those situations where he's in the shade and I'm in the sun, and I can't quite see him until I get in the shade. My eyes adjust, and there's K-Dog standing there in front of me. And, when I'm coming down that hill, I'm very much in that mood that Alan and I were just talking about. I'm moving as fast as I can. I don't want to be there. I'm sitting there saying, forget this. I don't want to hike anymore. I don't need to hike anymore. I don't need to prove anything to anybody else anymore. Just get me out of here. And I will go on eBay and sell every piece of equipment I got, and my camera and all this mess on the wall. Like, I'm done. Now, give me 2 hours with a nap and a shower and something to eat, and I'm ready to move on to the next hike. But so I bump into him. So standing in front of me is this guy I haven't seen in 4 years. And it got my attention pretty quickly. I am a man of faith. I believe in the good Lord watching over us. And I like to think, even though it's difficult to figure out the good Lord, I'd like to think he put that dude there for a reason. Because I will give away my gear if I have to. That's the point I was at coming down that hill. And just to bump into him and hear him tell me that he just needs Maine and he's done with his thru hike, or finishing the entire AT was pretty sweet. He was out there to get ready, like many people do. He's thru hiking the Foothills Trail to get ready to go up and finish Maine in June once it warms up some up there. And it rocked my world. I think you and I have talked about it multiple times. I posted on it. People have commented. They've chimed in about what it might have meant to me, or if it meant something to them. And it was right place, right time, for sure.
So you were talking about hiking by yourself for a lot of that time. And you and I have talked about it a little bit before, but I think it bears mentioning that sometimes, like I was at a customer last week, and he was he said, I'm not so sure about hiking. Now, I know this guy spends a lot of time outside, a lot of time in the woods. And so I kind of asked him about it. And he said, well, it seems like hikers are always about the destination. And I like to just go for a walk in the woods. And I think that's something that a lot of us forget sometimes when we're trying to get from point A to point B. Like, we do enough of that in life, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're out there is to enjoy the walk in the woods as much as the destination itself. It's the journey, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you and I both work for an industry right now that, luckily, knock on wood, is booming. And everybody wants as much of our time as they can possibly get. And we're at their beck and call because they are our customers, and they make our salaries happen. And to be able to go out there and say, okay, I'm just going to start walking. I'm going to walk at my pace. Nobody rushing me. It gives you time to turn off all the things that are distractions, all the things that are trying to pull away at your time. And it allows you to focus on what you want. It allows you to hear what the good Lord might be saying to you at times. At least for me, it does. And so it's just it's refreshing to be out there. Each day I would get to the campsite. I'm on some new meds for my arthritis. I've talked about my arthritis problems before, and they do wonders for me. So at the end of the day, I don't feel like I've been hit by a Mack truck, try to go to sleep, wake up, and feel like that truck backed me over. Like, I don't feel that anymore. I ate better than no, let's not say better. I ate more than I would normally generally eat out there because I don't have a choice anymore, especially when you go out there with the mindset you're going to do 76.2 miles. You can't run out of juice on day one. Like, you still got 5 more days to go. Yeah. I still haven't found a lot of meals I like. I took pizza left over from the night before for my lunch, and I'm going to do that again this coming weekend if we go eat pizza. I think it's great. It's cool enough. Just throw it in the Ziploc bag, put it in your backpack, and eat
evidently it's going to be cool enough.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. That'll be another episode. But anyway, yeah. So, and I had food all over me. I had food in my pockets. I had food in my hip belt. I had food I could reach in my backpack. And the first minute I felt just a twinge of being hungry, I was eating something: cashews, Kind Bar. Rooster's got me eating a lot of these Kind Bars, dude. I can feel that. They're not like those fruit chews that we do, those honey stinger fruit chews, right. But they are very. You can tell you've had something to eat when you eat them. You can feel that energy a little bit. They have good energy in them. Yeah. And so I like the Kind Bar.
Well, and I stole that from a YouTube channel. The Gear Skeptic was his name. And I tell you what, man, he goes through, he has a spreadsheet of the right bars to eat and, for endurance type of exercise, which hiking is as close as you can get to an endurance type of exercise. We may not be doing 26 miles at a hop, although there are some that do. But when you're doing that long, prolonged exercise, the right mix of carbohydrates and for energy and protein for sustained energy, is super important, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And I don't know what it is about pizza, but pizza seems to have the right
carbs
mix.
And protein, baby.
Right. And so, Trip laughed at me because I don't think he cares for cold pizza, but I love a good slice of cold pizza. I always have. So he said he was going to think through some things. I will tell you something that Joel did that I didn't think would be safe, but it worked for him. Joel's got some mental thing with pasta, and apparently the only type of pasta the man will eat is Chef Boyardee.
It's not normally where I was expecting you to go with that, but okay.
Yeah, I know. We'll have him on one day, and maybe he'll talk to us about it. Otherwise, it's his thing. We're not going to criticize him for it's his thing. So he took, I think it was a quart-sized bag. Maybe he's listening. He might chime in. And he dumped a can of SpaghettiOs in there. And he sealed the bag shut. Now, remember, these things have so much salt and preservatives in them. You could hang them with the beef jerky, and they'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
Then he put them in another bag, and he carried them with him.
Okay.
So not the first night. I don't remember what he had the first night. Maybe he had them the first night and I just didn't notice. But on one night he pulls them out, he boils a cup of water and he dumps it to the air, the space between the two bags.
Yeah.
And I think he might have kneaded it up a little, or he just put it in a koozie and let it heat up. And that's what he had one night when he was on the trail with SpaghettiOs. And
I'm not sure that fits on the Gear Skeptic scale of weight consciousness.
No, I'm sure it didn't. But I think he took some with him after we got to the food drop at my car. I think he took another bag or two with him. I know those guys rated my food, and they took my Captain Crunch. I like the vacuum seal Captain Crunch and Nido, which is a powdered milk substitute kind of thing.
If you're looking for which milk to buy because you want to mix it up with a granola or a cereal, something like that, the Nido, whatever it is, it's a hit.
Yeah, it's good.
All three of us have tried it. As far as that goes, I've tried several different ones, and that's the one I prefer.
Yeah, I vacuum sealed 2 bags of Captain Crunch to take out on the counter downstairs.
Casual Comfort said, "I'm not sure that qualifies as pasta."
No, I doubt it. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest. When you're sitting there staring into some Mountain House meal and you're going, and you look over there and Joel's like, "Man, these SpaghettiOs are just delicious."
I can imagine that would be one of those times. It's kind of like when we were talking to John Sears a couple of weeks ago. He starts talking about bringing Wagyu beef. Hey man, if you want to carry it, that's on you. And when you get there, hey, that's what you got. So
right. Just remember that.
I think our buddy Recon's he's talking about a little something going on with this trip. There may be some sausages or something coming along the trip. Yeah. Hey, he's not bringing the hatchet this time, so we're going to give him a break.
So maybe there's something to it. I know you can't dehydrate them. They got too much fat on them. You can't get them dry enough. I've seen some stuff on the board about that where guys were trying to dehydrate SpaghettiOs. And it just they could not get it hot enough without cooking it to the point that they could pull all the moisture and fat out of it. And it was like a fruit roll up when they took it out.
Okay.
And that's not how that's supposed to necessarily
I
work.
have done the refried beans in there. Those turned out pretty good. If I ever decide to do a ramen bomb type situation. And I've done some veggies that I can show you what they look like, but I can't show you what they look like rehydrated yet. So that's going to, look at that. That's not a bag you got there, Chad. Where'd that come from?
Well, thank you. This came from Hilltop Packs. They do some custom logo and stuff. You need to check them out if you're a camper. They got all sorts of things. Tent stake bags. They'll put funny sayings on here, like, for the bear, it'll say something like just stupid
Can't
stuff.
touch this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this time around, we're going to try it now. Before I show this, I'm listening to the guys who I hike with. They tell me this is delicious, so I decided to give it a shot. So little biscuits and gravy from Mountain House.
That's a tasty treat right there.
That'll be one night's meal. We'll see about the pizza and the lunch. Guys eat tuna all the time, and I'm not that big into tuna, but I found this deli style. Actually, I think my wife did. And it tastes a little bit more different, so I'm actually going to give that a shot for lunch one day. But the main thing I wanted to show you guys, because this is a better example of what my dinners look like now. So this has a bunch of stuff in it. So there is ramen rescue. So this is vacuum sealed. So it's ramen and chicken and veggies. The ramen rescue comes in a pack from Packet Gourmet. They do some decent stuff. I'm not a huge fan, but the ramen rescue I am. That comes with a little bag of sriracha, just to spice it up a little bit. If you're into that sort of thing, when you're out into the woods, you probably want to be careful about how hot and spicy something is. These you've seen me on my Facebook page talk about. These are F-bombs. This little packet is 240 calories of olive oil, and that is quick absorbing. It doesn't taste horrible. You can add it to just about anything and not taste it at all. So dumping that into this gets the calorie intake up quickly. This would also be, you could do mayonnaise. Rooster likes to add mayonnaise to his tuna packs.
Yep.
I may do that as well. And then there's my little sriracha pack. And then always got to have something sweet. So little peanut M&Ms are in there for that. And then I'll jam as much water. If there's a water source right where we're camping, sometimes there's not. Maryland was a little tricky. I'll jam as much water in me and then one of these Gatorade packs. just to try to get those electrolytes back up again. Smart water is a bottle that we use a lot. When we're out there, it's durable. You know, you've seen it in stores, QTs, Wawa's, Sheets, wherever you can find them, smart water bottles. They sell some now that have some electrolytes already in them. And that's what I used on the Foothills Trail for the first day, was 2 1-liter bottles that were full of that stuff. So I'll probably start there. And, you know, the Foothills Trail is good because there's water everywhere. You guys can see it in those pictures. It's not hurting for water. So you don't have to carry a ton of water with you. You don't have to worry about whether or not there's water where you're going, which is a concern on the AT sometimes.
I think a lot of that depends on time of year as well. You know, when we go, Trip and I just did 20 miles from Penmar up to Caledonia, and we'll probably talk about that in a future episode. But I mean, we did have a 10-mile hike on the second day, and the shelter caretaker stopped by and was real nice. I mean, great shelter. Like I said, we'll talk about that another day, but he warned us that there wasn't any really good spot to get water. So camel up and go with it. And so we knew we were going to our car. It's only 10 miles. So I took 3 liters. I think Trip took 2. But I carried 3 just so I had 1 left when we got to the car so that I could do my little magic shake, my protein shake. So,
yeah. Yeah. I don't, wait a minute. I'll show you an example of what, I should have broken some of this stuff out. I'll show you an example of what Alan's talking about there. So a couple other things. These are pretty good. These little granola chocolate, it's hard to tell, little chocolate dip bars. Those are pretty good. That's quick 140 calories. Somebody turned us on to these. I don't remember who, but these Honey Stinger Energy Chews. These are easier to get down than the waffles. The waffles are good, but if you're parched, the waffles make life a lot worse.
I don't know who originally said it. I know when we were on the Maryland on the second hike, I tried them. And that was that day that I actually had some momentum going downhill, because I think I had downed a whole pack of those things. And Recon, when he was running marathon, said he would do like one of those a mile, and I downed like 8 of them in like 6 minutes.
I never saw
the energy.
Yeah, so there's those Con bars. There's 100 different styles of these suckers. This is dark chocolate cherry cashew. I got a blueberry almond one too in my pack for this trip. These are cool, fit well in your waist belt. You can pull them out, you can walk and eat. And then the thing Alan was talking about was something that he turned me on to, that really helps your body. It keeps you from being as sore when you wake up the following morning. And what you're trying to do is jam as much protein in your body as you can. And one of the ways to do that, or the quickest, easiest way to do that, is to drink it rather than trying to pull out some chicken breast and start gnawing on the thing. You're just not going to get enough protein out of there. Plus, by the time your body, digests it, you've already killed off even more. But this is a pack, a premixed pack. We make these. This will go to a Nalgene bottle. So I've started taking a Nalgene, because to cut the corner off of this and try to get it in a smart water bottle, sorry, Mom, sucks. Like, she doesn't like that word, but it sucks. So I don't know what else to tell you.
It is less than ideal for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, a funny story about that. When Trip and I were on the trail, he was doing that for his breakfast. He was doing a Carnation instant breakfast thing, and he was trying to pour it into his Nalgene, into his thing. Of course, he saw me with the Nalgene. He's like, the day before he saw me with the Nalgene, and he's like, man, why are you carrying a Nalgene? Don't you know? I'm like, I know, but it's really just for the shape, man. That's all it's for.
Yeah.
And I still used it to like grab some extra water to bring back, so I used it. But the next day, after he got his breakfast in his thing, he's like, maybe that Nalgene's not quite such a bad idea. I'm like, if you're drinking something like this and you're trying to pour that thing, you either got to bring a funnel or a wide mouth something,
Yeah.
I got a big mouth, but it doesn't help me with this particular situation.
And food is a whole episode. Like, heck, it might be 2 episodes. But one thing, there are 2 last things that I've really been excited about lately. One of them are these honey minis that Alan turned me on. And you know, even if you don't want to eat, you can just squeeze this thing into your mouth and pull calories off of it. I think there might be 140 calories in this thing too. It's great.
Well, and it's all natural carbohydrates too, so
Yeah.
it'll go straight into your bloodstream and help you get
Oh yeah, it's a kicker. Like you're going up a hill and there's what do they call it, a fake ridge, not a fake ridge, but I can't remember the word, but you look like you think you're at the top.
I don't know. I usually refer to them with words we can't say on this podcast.
I know this is
Benson might be watching.
Oh, she's watching. I can guarantee you, her and my dad are 2 of the 7 probably. In fact, we'll check the comments in a minute. Anyway, this is good. Mix it with some peanut butter, jam a Kind bar into it, whatever, eat it. And then last, to kind of go hand in hand with this, is there's a guy that hikes with us on the Old Man Hiking Club, and he will crush your soul. I call him Pockets because he's about that big around, and he puts his hands in his pockets while he's got his backpack on to hike up. He does not take trekking poles. And so I was out hiking with him one day, and he was cold, but I didn't know that. That was why he put his hands in his pocket, and this joker just takes off. And I never see him again. And later that day, they stopped to wait on me. This was up in Irwin on the AT. This is not the Foothills Trail. That joker pulls out this apple, and I wanted to take him down with a stick in the woods to get that apple out of his hand. He's just tearing it up. So I now take an apple and a banana. It is worth every bit of the weight, and jam it in my backpack. And when I'm walking, it's one of those things that I can grab, pull out, and walk and eat. For the most part, I don't know if I'll do it in Shenandoah in the coming days. Those 2 items break down and compost really well. You can scratch up the ground, drop your apple core, cover it back up. And it's not, 2 weeks, it's probably completely gone, if that. There's no reason to be carrying around this rotten banana peel. Somebody's going to talk junk to me about this. I don't care. You're not changing my opinion of it. Now, Shenandoah, there are black bears everywhere, and I'm hearing more and more that the bears are already out and moving, so I may or may not do it there. I don't know. It'll really depend on where I'm at when I eat the apple. But, yeah, honey is a quick way to get some carbs into you and a little bit of sugar. So
cool.
Anyway.
Well, man, we wanted to do 15, 20 minutes. We've done 42. Hey, everybody. But that's the way it is, man. It's always a good time talking to you, especially about something cool like this. So to wrap it all up, man, if you had to wrap it all up into a nice little pretty, put a little bow on it and everything else, I know, at least I better know the answer you give, but are you happy you did it? Let's start with that.
Yeah, the title was Epic Fail or the Greatest Hike Ever. Hands down, one of the best hikes I've ever been on. Great, I was in a great mood till that last day. That was just the weight of the things that were bearing on me because my mind had cleared and I'm trying to think through all this stuff. Just completely awesome to see K-Dog out on the trail. A great opportunity to hang out with the Old Man Hiking Club, some guys I really respect, even if we didn't hike together, just really good guys. And it just, I would not trade the experience for anything. I'm not a thru hiker. It changes the way you have to hike. And I've hiked enough now to know how I want to hike. And I was able to hike. I hate the phrase hike my hike, but that's really what it is. And it may happen again in the coming days when we head up to Shenandoah, which I've affectionately nicknamed the Shinnies. So when we head into the Shinnies Thursday morning, it very well may everybody spread out. I don't know. It's a great time when you're by yourself to break down things that are troubling you. It is a great time when you're hiking with somebody else to really get to know them better and learn some things you're not going to learn when they're in the cubby next to you at work every day. So yeah, wouldn't trade it for the world. Greatest hike ever.
Cool, man.
So,
well, man, I appreciate you having me on to interview you, because that's something that I know it's been a lot of planning that went into it, and I am super. Like I said, I told you, then that I'm super proud of the fact that you went out there and you did it, and again, I look at the fact that you looked at it as the right time to get off. I think that's the win, because Nobody needs to go out there and get hurt. Know your limits out for all of us out there, especially for those of us of size, because that's what the thing's all about, right?
Yep.
Don't do more than you should. Like, get out there and enjoy yourself and push it a little bit. Don't be afraid to try something new and try it and work and sweat and maybe pant. But man, get out there and give it a shot. You got it's the only way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, dude, you have the gift of gab. You can carry on a good conversation. So I appreciate you doing this. Make sure you're checking us out on Facebook. Make sure you're checking us out on Instagram. There's the YouTube channel. This will repost to the YouTube channel if you missed the beginning of it. So you can have an opportunity to go back and check out the whole thing. Hit us up with questions about the AT, about the Foothills Trail gear. We don't care. Jeremy Walla, if you're out there, buddy, I owe you an apology. I shipped it today. I threw in 2 extra little items for you. It's got to get from South Carolina to Bismarck, North Dakota, South Dakota. I don't remember now, but it's coming, dude. Hopefully by the end of the week, it'll be there. You can enjoy your Fousey. And that's pretty much it. We're going to go live. Hey, we're going to go live again this week, Wednesday night. It'll be Rooster, Recon, Mike, Tripp, and myself all up
Good
at a
Lord
hostel.
willing, and the internet holds out.
Right. We'll be at a hostel up in Front Royal, Virginia, getting ready to tackle our first section of the Shinnies, and we'll let you check out what the hostel's like with the cabin. We have a cabin just for the 4 of us, I believe, and we'll let everybody run their mouths for a little bit and tell you how great they are, and then we'll go out and start sucking wind on the AT. So anyway, that's it. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
See you, everybody.